We're talking with Charlie Aldersey from MSM Milling at Manildra. Charlie, firstly looking at production and Australia-wide, what are you sort of seeing trend-wise in production in the last couple of years, and how does that compare with the last decade?
We're seeing production in certainly last year, and all indications for this year, so for the harvest in October-November 2012, looks very promising. So last year Australia produced around about 3 million tonnes Australia-wide of canola seed, and this year some estimates have it up at around 3.35 million tonnes. A lot of that, interestingly, is going to occur in New South Wales. So some people are saying New South Wales might actually produce 1 million tonnes on its own this year, which would be a record by a long way.
On the world stage, from a production point of view, over 3 million tonnes, is that big or not?
As far as production goes, it's not huge, but really where Australia is important is the fact that it exports most of what it produces. So to put it in perspective, if Australia produces 3.3 million tonnes, probably around about sort of 2.2 to 2.5 of that may be exported. That would put Australia as the second biggest exporter in the world behind Canada.
Now you talk about exports and you focused a lot on Europe.
Yes.
How important is Europe from an export of canola seed to Australia?
Europe in the last 4 or 5 years has developed as Australia's biggest export market. So for instance, last year about 85% of what was exported within the last year went to Europe. Now Europe has an expanding market, not to service the food industry there, but to service the biodiesel industry. So Europe has mandates and incentives to include rape or canola methyl ester, which is the biodiesel, in their fuel usage. Now, what Australia has been able to capitalise on is it fits the sustainability and the non-GM criteria that are needed to service that market, whereas the other biggest exporter in the world, Canada, doesn't.
What sort of a premium, though, are we seeing in that European market?
It varies, but certainly Europe's a net importer now, and Australia's traditional markets, such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, some of those destinations throughout Asia, probably pay, and it varies day to day, of course, but they probably pay, somewhere around $25 a tonne less on average than what Europe would pay for Australian canola seed.
Now, looking at your own operation, MSM Milling at Manildra, what are you trying to achieve there when it comes to finding a niche market in crushing domestically?
So MSM is a crusher, so we don't export any whole seed. We take the seed and we crush it to produce the oil and the meal or the protein component. Most of the protein is consumed domestically, and some of the big users are the chicken manufacturers or chicken growers. Some of it's exported to New Zealand. We have developed there's quite a large domestic demand for the oil as well, but what we have succeeded in doing is developing markets, particularly in Asia, for RBD, ready-to-use oil, which can be shipped directly in containers in what they call flexi bags direct to food manufacturers throughout Asia and also in New Zealand. So to put it in perspective, probably about 25 to 30% of our oil that we produce is exported, and it's exported direct to the end users throughout Asia.
And China is an interesting story for you guys as well.
Yeah, China is a project that we're developing, so we've just started exporting a bit of oil to China. We've got a joint venture over there. What they're doing is actually taking that oil and bottling it and putting it into a retail package. They've developed a brand and a premium market specifically for Australian canola oil. So what we're finding there is that it's a very competitive market for your commodity type product, but that certainly the higher end of the market, the the middle class and also the upper class are wanting, they have a very good image of Australian products, and canola fits into that. It's safe origin, it's a green image, and they're really happy to take Australian products for those reasons.
Now, you've also done a major deal with a major food retailer. Tell us a bit about what you've achieved there and the special type of canola oil that you're producing.
So we've done a long-term or a medium-term deal with KFC, who are one of the fast food chains in Australia. KFC have had a program to try and replace their imported palm oil with a healthier oil. They've rolled this out in the last sort of 2 or 3 months. So what they've done is they've for all of their frying oil in store, they've taken palm oil out and they've put in canola. Now, the thing about that application, repeated frying in store, is that regular canola won't do the job from a functionality point of view. So what we've contracted and supplied to KFC, as have some of the other suppliers in Australia, is what we call a higher laic or a higher stability canola, which is a special variety that's been bred to have a different fatty acid profile, which means it's more stable and it's got a longer frying life.
And it's not just KFC, you've also got other organisations that are using it in blends.
Yes, so this is an increasing trend, not only in Australia but also throughout the Western world. We're seeing a lot of people make an effort to have healthier frying options and healthier oils used in their food manufacturing. A lot of that requires a special, a functionality that enables a long shelf life or a long frying life. So that's why these specialty varieties of canola, these high laic or high stability varieties, have been developed, and we're seeing a booming market in Australia and elsewhere, not only with fast food chains, but also with biscuit manufacturers and salty snack companies such as Smith's Chips, who are converting across to these types of oils.
What about from a grower's point of view? Are you paying a premium to produce these specialty type of oils?
So we have started contracting growers to grow these varieties. The variety that we're growing is Manola. It's a variety that's been developed by New Seed or New Farm, which is part of the New Seed is part of the New Farm group. So we're contracting direct with farmers to grow the Manola varieties. We're paying a premium to growers. For instance, in 2012, those growers who have planted it, we're giving a $40 premium over and above regular canola prices. So that premium is there to incentivise the farmer to try it, number one. Number two, to give him a bit of extra money for keeping it segregated, because it has to be kept segregated in order for us to through the supply chain, in order for us to give the right product to the customer. And also, there's against some of the very top varieties, there's a very small incremental yield drag on some of these varieties.
Is it only small though?
Oh, it's in the order of 4 or 5% against the very top varieties. So it's more than competitive. And certainly there's new varieties of Manola coming out every year.
Is that price bonus enough to get enough oil?
Well, certainly this year we're very happy with how many farmers have contracted this, and we're hoping that a lot of the farmers that actually grow it will grow it again yet next year. So we certainly want to make it a seamless and a worthwhile experience for new growers.